Hello again, and welcome to Marketing with Purpose. My name is Monica Pitts, and today I am tackling a topic that makes me so incredibly pumped. I'm talking about blogging, and today we're going to talk about whether or not blogging is a good activity for you to invest in to market your nonprofit.
If you're a natural-born marketer, you're one lucky son of a gun. If you're like most people, marketing, especially online marketing, is about as appealing as standing in a police lineup. The May Create team of creatives has transformed websites and digital marketing from craptastic to fantastic since 2005. Our podcast, Marketing with Purpose, makes sense of marketing so you can make purposeful decisions instead of carrying on with the same old crap you've been doing. And now your host, Monica Pitts, founder of May Create, with another episode on how to make your marketing not suck.
Now, I have been blogging for years. I think I started my blog in like 2009 or 2010. So it's been a long time blogging. The reason that I continue to blog is because it is by far the most cost-effective method I have found to drive people to my website. So my website gets someplace between 20 and 25,000 visitors a month. And my blog is responsible for 85% of those visitors. So about 4 years ago, when we decided that we were going to focus on specific niches that we wanted to work with, instead of just working with everyone under the sun, we had the ability to take the traffic that we had on our blog and start focusing more on very specific niches, drive that traffic into us, and then start conversations with those people and convert those people all over the United States into clients that we could work with. So blogging has been an amazing tool for us. I never would have dreamed when I started a blog, however many years ago that was, that it would allow me to be able to generate business through my website. And then in turn, I don't have to go to every networking event under the sun. And that means that I get to spend time with my kids and I get to help them with their homework, or I can take off work and take my kids to a doctor's appointment that they need to go to. But if I had to go to networking events all the time to get business and shake hands, and that was the way that it worked, that wouldn't really work for me. And also, the audience that we built through our blog allowed us to work with people all over the United States. And because our service is a digital service, and it did take us a while to also, full disclaimer, it took us a while to figure out how to sell things when we weren't sitting face to face with people, because that's something that people still want and need. And we had to figure out how to put that into the process, which was an interesting feat. But to be able to go outside of my small mid-Missouri town and be able to serve audiences in big towns in Missouri, but when I say big towns, I mean cities like St. Louis, one of the biggest cities in the U.S., but then also serving people in Dallas and San Francisco and New York, and all those places have a far higher cost of living than what we have here. And it allowed me to charge a price for our service, which is an amazing service, and we do such a great job of it. And I'm not saying that we overcharge at all, because I have extremely professional people that work for me that are just amazing at what they do. And as they were growing their families, they needed more from me. They needed to earn more money because they needed to support their families, and I didn't want them to leave. So I had to find a way to go out and find that audience for our business so that I could keep these amazing individuals on my team and help me serve our clients in the best way that we could. And blogging was really one of the main reasons that we could do this. So that is my pitch. That is why I love blogging so much, that and because I think it's incredibly fun. And so I just told you about a business story, right? But I told you that today we were going to talk about if your nonprofit should be blogging. So clearly I love it for business, but why do I love it for nonprofits? So in order to answer that question for yourself, we're going to go through a few things today. First of all, we're going to talk about what the heck a blog even is, because there are so many different ways that you can slice this pie. We're also going to talk about ways that you can assess if blogging is right for you based on your audience, your skill set, and your marketing goals. I'm going to show you what blogging does, like how it works. And I'm literally going to give you a case study of 2 clients, one nonprofit that blogs and another one that doesn't, so you can really understand the difference between what happens on a website when somebody's blogging and when someone isn't. And last but not least, I am going to share with you what type of time investment you would be making if you did indeed decide to start a blog, because I think that you should start with all of the information and then make a decision from there. I don't want you to just be like, Monica says blogging is awesome and it's clearly working for her and it's working for her clients, and so I should be doing it. Well, there's a lot of things that factor into that decision, and I want to give you all the pieces that you need to be able to make that decision for yourself. And that is what this episode is all about. So let's get to business. So before I dig into this completely riveting topic, I want to remind you that there are show notes for this episode. And when I say show notes, I'm not talking about like some crappy transcription. That is not what it is. Isabella takes this and makes this into an actual blog post for you to read with headings and pictures and bulleted lists so that you can go through this information at your own pace and use it as a resource for yourself as you're making the decision about whether or not to start blogging for your nonprofit. And then Katie puts together a goodie bag just for you with links to resources and anything that we talked about that's linking out in this article, like services or tools. So that will all be for you at podcast.maycreate.com. So go check it out. Okay, so just to make sure that we're still on the same path, today we're talking about what blogging is, what it does, how to assess if it's right for you, and how long it takes. So let's start at the top. What is blogging? So blogging is publishing content on your website. Whether or not you have a video blog or you have a written blog, I mean, there's different implications for each one of those, and your results would be different. I'm not going to go to video blogging today. We call that vlogging. I just learned that word like a few years ago. VLOGGING, vlogging. Yeah. So that is publishing video blog articles. Well, today we're going to talk about a written blog. That's what we're focused on. Now, there's certain types of blogs that I love, and there's certain types of blogs that I can do without. The types of blogs that I can do without are the ones that just tell me stories about how this lady runs around with her kids in Disney World or all over Europe or whatever she's doing. Or like the lady who is, and why do I always say lady? Because there's definitely gentlemen bloggers that do this too. But we call these things lifestyle blogs, where people are just kind of talking about their life. And that is not my favorite type of blog. But I'm a get to business kind of gal. So it makes sense that they don't really appeal to me. If I want to read a story, I will probably read fiction. And I love fiction, but I also love fact. And that is what I focus my blogging on, is fact. So great blogs, in my opinion, tell stories. And they also have content that solves problems for their visitors. Now, each piece of content on your site is like a door that welcomes visitors into your site. So if you only have 5 pages on your website, then you have 5 different ways to invite visitors in. If you have thousands of doors on your website, then you have thousands of ways to invite people in. That's why blogging generates so much traffic for websites, because in your website proper, you talk about specific things, right? You talk about who you are, you talk about ways to donate or volunteer, your service offerings, your team. But when people are trying to solve a problem that you help them solve, you're actually not going to probably show up for that problem unless they're looking specifically for you by name, or if you have a really great built out services section, you may actually show up for one of those offerings. You know, for example, if you are a homeless shelter and somebody searched for homeless shelter, then you would probably show up. But if somebody searches for something like, how do we combat homelessness, who is interested in helping you serve your mission, you're not going to show up for that because you probably don't have content about how to combat homelessness on your website. That's where blogging comes into play. You think through people's challenges, their objections, the stuff that they're trying to solve, and you offer them the answers through your blog. Now, as you're writing it, you're using normal terminology, things that they usually say or talk about, and that gets caught in the search engine, and they will serve those pages as answers to their questions. So in that way, blogging allows you to increase your brand awareness and credibility because people are going to find you as a resource to the challenges that they're facing. And as I said, that also generates that traffic back into your website. Generating traffic into your website will in turn improve your Google ranking because Google sees, oh, people are coming to this website. It's offering great stuff. And it also improves your relationship with Google because you will publish on a regular basis, and then Google will come out to your website more often to see what you have to offer people. So Google will push you up in the rankings if people do things like stay on your site longer or go to more pages because you're showing it through those visitor interactions that your content is valuable to people. Now, blogging also meets people where they are. So you know that your donors start out in one spot. They start out as an acquaintance, and they might be looking for ways to combat homelessness in their community. They don't know that you're actually doing that. So you're starting out as an acquaintance with people that share values with you. And if they're at the beginning of this journey, then your blog can meet them where they are. They're not all the way to volunteering or donating yet. Your blog helps catch them where they're at in their cycle of educating themselves. Blogging is also really great to reach specific audiences. So as I said, when we got niched down and we started working with construction, education, nonprofit, we started blogging to those very specific audiences for their specific challenges because not all of them search for stuff the same way. Just a crazy example. So the other day I was looking for how people are searching for solutions to run their online events. Well, I think, they're probably looking for an app or a service or a software as a technical solution to try to power this online event. And what I learned was that everybody uses the word platform. All right, there you go. Lesson learned, right? So I can then make sure that I use the right terminology when I'm talking to people about picking their event platform. And so blogging allows me to use the right words for the right audience and give them very specific examples so they can find what they need within the confines of my words. I want them to see themselves in the words that I say, in the examples that I give, so that they're super relevant to you and you can go forward and use that information. If I just used examples of construction companies, it would not mean the same to you. You could probably translate it because you're a smart person, right? But if I used something that was more applicable to you, it would be even better. And not everybody has the same questions. For example, my nonprofit clients are really worried about making sure that they're developing relationships with their donors and that they can have this relationship right now online. Whereas my construction clients are looking to make relationships with new hires. They want to bring new people into their company and have them work for them. Well, these are different challenges that I'm trying to solve using the exact same tools. And blogging allows me to talk to each audience specifically to help them figure out how to solve their problems using the same tools. And also, if you pair blogging with other mediums, it helps generate that return traffic to your website. It helps continue the relationship that you have with someone. And I'll show you an example of how that works when I go through my case study of a client who blogs and a client who doesn't. So speaking of that case study, let's dive right in. All right, so I'm going to use two examples of two nonprofits Both of these nonprofits serve families and children. They are not doing the exact same thing. They don't even really overlap, but they're at least in the same realm, right? So let's talk about the one that does blog first. So client A has been blogging for years. I mean, I don't know if they've been blogging for as long as I have, but I mean, I set that blog up for them years and years ago. So it's been going on for a long time. Now, that's one thing that I have to let you know is that blogging is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you can start publishing stuff, but you're not going to start generating a lot of traffic until you've been publishing for a while, because each one of your blog posts will bring in, someplace between, 1 and 50 visitors a month. Or if you've got a really great blog post, then it could be bringing thousands of visitors a month, but you don't have a great blog post with every post you publish. It's kind of like a trial and error thing. You think you know what people want, you're not sure. There's different things going on out in the search algorithms. Also, there could be a ton of competition for the same topic that you're talking about. So for example, let's say that you pick a popular topic, then there's a whole bunch of other people who've written about it, and there's definitely a reason to publish that content. And I will go into that when I talk about what you should be blogging about. But for right now, just know that not every blog post that you publish is going to have this huge multiplier effect on people coming into your website. Some of them will be a little bit, some of them will be more, and it's over time that you'll see the results of your blogging. This client has been blogging for years, so they have lots of content out there. So over the last 6 months, this client had 9,265 people come to their website. And the way that those people behaved on their website was super healthy. They stayed on the website for around 2.5 minutes each, and they went to around 2.4 pages every time they visited the site. That's awesome. They also had a decent number of return visitors. So in this 6-month time frame, about 15% of their visitors came back to their website. Now, these are just like your big overview numbers, right? But what happened with the blogging? So here's the deal. About 25.5% of the people that went to the website came in through their blog. 25.5% of those 9,265 people. Now, about 7.6% came in through search engines to the blog, and about 15% of them came in directly to the blog from a link that they had. So 25% of the sessions that come into their website come in through their blog. 42% comes in on their homepage. 18% of those people come in through Google by searching for them, and then 25% of them come in directly through a link that they already have. So 25% of the sessions come in through their blog. So what does that mean? It means that without that blog, 25% of that traffic, over 2,000 visitors, would not come to that website. And remember that some of these people are new and some of them are not new. Some of these people are returning visitors. So why is this cool? This is cool because 7.6% of the people that came into this website did not know this organization at all before they searched for something that they covered on their blog and landed in their blog to answer their question. And then 15% came in directly. So that means that those are probably people that they already know. And this is just coming to their blog. So they're not just serving themselves through their blog by getting in front of new people. They're also continuing their relationship with people that they already know by asking them to come back to their website and learn more. So that was a whole bunch of numbers and maybe even terms that you have not heard before. But what I want you to take away from this is that 25% of the people that came to this website entered in through the blog, and over 7% of them were new, and 15% of those people came in again. They were people that knew them and came back. So their blog is facilitating building new relationships and deepening existing relationships. Okay, so let's look at the one that people don't blog. So client B, these individuals, they're in the same community, remember, serving also youth. So they don't overlap services, but they're in the same community, really talking to the same types of donors. The same people would donate to each one of these organizations because their missions really cross values a lot. So client B, they had 6,163 sessions. 6,163 times people went to their website. Now, this is, what is totally nuts, is it's almost 25% less than my client that blogs. And I didn't make this up. I went right into the Google Analytics data and pulled it out. It could not be any more specific. It's totally nuts. So 6,163 sessions. And they have really healthy visitors too. Their people are spending around 2 minutes on the site. They're going to around 2.3 pages. And I know you're not going to believe me when I tell you this because it is so nuts. But 42% of the people that go to this website for client B come in on their homepage. Remember how I told you client A also had 42% of their visitors come in on their homepage? Nuts, isn't it? Like how alike these websites are. They both have an event section. They both have a donate section. They both have a volunteer. They both outline all their services. But the only thing that one of them has that the other one doesn't is an active blog. So if client B decided that they were going to blog, they could pick up those extra over 2,000 visitors that they don't have right now. Each of these websites have around 15% return visitors. I know, it's uncanny how the numbers line up. But remember, client A has over 9,000 visitors going to their website in this 6-month period. So that means 1,400 of them are coming back to their website again. While client B has only 6,000 visitors come to their website in this period. So that means that they only have 925 people coming back to their website. So you can definitely see what happens when you continually publish content where you can develop a relationship with your donors over time and bring in new people through the same mechanism. It's nuts, isn't it? All right, I'm done. I'm off of my numbers soapbox. Let's talk about whether this is right for you. So I know I've just made this really strong pitch on blogging. Gosh, you'd think that I sold blogging. I really don't. I only blog for 2 people. It's a lot of work to blog. I'll get into that in a second. So when you are considering whether or not you should blog for your nonprofit, now that you know it works, I've shown you that it works, why would you not do it? Well, why would you do it? I mean, the answers to those questions are derived by going through the same process. You need to think about, first off, what your goals are. What are your goals for your organization? Are you trying to grow? Are you trying to deepen your relationships with your donors? Are you trying to push them online and make that relationship online? If that's a yes, then blogging might be a great thing for you. Now, the other piece is, okay, so whenever I talk about putting your marketing plan together, right, I talk about your assets, your strengths, and together those things, they equal your plan. So if blogging is going to be part of your plan at the end, you need to think about your assets and your strengths. So if you don't have a website at all, then it's going to take a lot longer to get that blog built, and you're going to have to learn how to use the website, and maybe technology isn't your strength. Okay, well, we're already adding some things up that say maybe this isn't the right spot for us. And another thing is, we got to think about those strengths, right? So we just talked about technology. Maybe that's not your strength, but really, if you can work a Word document, you can put things into a website and publish it. It may not be like the most beautiful thing that people have ever seen, but if your content is genuine and it's helping them and you're delivering answers to the questions that they have, it doesn't matter if it's beautiful, especially at first. You need to start where you are, and you're offering them something that's extremely valuable, which is your knowledge. So don't worry so much about whether it's beautiful at first. I really think that you can overcome the tech hurdle. If you can work Microsoft Word and Facebook, you can totally add a blog post to your website. I know because I have hundreds of clients that do it all the time, and they're fine. And they came into me like complete techno no, like literally techno no tech, right? And if you have the will and you want to do it, then there is totally a way for you to figure this out. So don't write it off because you're not a tech person. Now, I have to say, if you are not a writer, if writing is not easy for you, if you hate writing, I probably wouldn't start blogging if I were you, because remember, it's your assets plus your strengths that you're going to rely on to make your plan. Now, there's all kinds of different ways that you can develop content for your organization and develop a relationship with your donors. Remember how earlier we talked about doing a vlog, VLOG, a video blog? So if you're great in front of camera and you love to talk to people, but you hate to write, hey, that could be an awesome avenue for you to connect with people. It's not going to be quite the same as blogging. It has different benefits and different impacts, but it's still a way to produce content and connect with people online and develop those donor relationships. Like my brother, for example, he's just not a writer. He's never been a writer. And whenever he has something that is a really tricky client email, or he's going to write something for his marketing, he comes to me and he's like, Monica, I need you to read this. And I like rearrange the whole thing like a crazy big sister who does marketing for a living. But he's not a good writer, right? He doesn't love to write. If you don't like to write at all, you should not start blogging. That's not a good plan. There are other ways that you can get yourself out in front of your audience that don't involve you doing something that you absolutely hate. You need to choose marketing activities that complement your strengths and your assets to put in your plan. Now, also before you start blogging, you need to think about your audience as well. So, and this is where people kind of get hung up. Now, there's different audiences that you're trying to reach, right? You have your donors, you have your volunteers, you have the people that you serve. These are all different audiences that need to hear different things from you. And that's okay, because remember, your blog meets people where they are. So you can have a blog post that's written specifically to your donors, one that's specifically written to your volunteers, and another that's really catering to the people that you serve. All that is great. You can have a very balanced approach to the content that you publish, and blogging really allows you to shift that way. It's not like you have to find, 3 different magazines to publish things in. You can just publish them on the blog, and people will find it as they need it because it's going to show up in Google. Google helps them find what they need, right? So if your target audience is not online, not at all, like they don't find information through Google, and there are certain target audiences that don't, like if you are, for example, in a terrible internet zone. Well, if you have little to no internet, then you probably aren't going to be searching for things on Google to find your answers. I am such a Google girl. I am really having a difficult time knowing how I would find those answers, but I'm certain that I can redeem my skills of being raised in the 80s and pull out those encyclopedias, go to the library and use a phone book again. I know I can do all those things, right? But if you have a very older audience that is not using the internet to find answers to things, then that might be another reason that you wouldn't blog. Basically, what I'm saying here is you need to assess your audience and figure out, are they searching for answers to things that you can provide for them online? And most people are. Most people, the answer is yes. And I'm going to give you one more argument for blogging, because clearly I love it and I'm just trying to sell blogging today. Let's say that your audience is aging. Let's say that maybe your majority of your donors right now are not people that are searching for answers on Google. Here's the deal. Those people are supported by people like my mother. My mom, my grandma, is almost 90. My mom helps her with all of that stuff. My mom is going online, or she's asking me, and I go online and I find it for her. So as you're trying to reach these younger generations, and everyone is trying to do it, everybody wants to be friends with the 35 to 45-year-old people that have come into the money, right? Because we have the right values, and we are tech savvy, but we're hard to get in front of. And we are the people that will go out to Google and fearlessly find answers for our mothers and our grandmothers. And then you're starting a relationship with us. And that's the beginning of the relationship, right? Because blogging meets people where they are. So you're going to be in your relationship with me when I start looking for answers for my grandma. And I have the money to donate to you. And if you help my grandma, by heavens, I'm going to be donating to you, right? So you have the ability to get in front of all these other audiences that you might not have actually considered yet by blogging. All right, so blogging is, yay, it's totally amazing, but you definitely need to take a good hard look at your abilities, your strengths, and your target audience, and what you have to, what you already have, what your assets are for marketing before you just dig in and start blogging. Okay, so one of the other things that you need to consider is the amount of time that you have. So let's say that you want to start blogging, but you're super short on time. Okay, so that is a challenge. It's a huge challenge. It's a big hurdle for you to overcome because blogging does take time. Every blog post that we produce at May Create, it goes through a specific process. It starts out with me making this podcast, and then Isabella is going to take it and she's going to turn it into a blog post, or I will take it and turn it into a blog post. And then it has to be published on our site, and then we're going to publicize it. Okay, so for us to do all of those things, it's probably going to take us around 4 hours, sometimes even a little longer. And we do this all the time, right? And it kind of depends on what type of article it is. If I'm going to write an article that someone's asked me to write that's maybe not 100% in my core knowledge that I can just pull out of my head, that I want to do a little bit more research on so I can really give an opinion on it, that one's going to take me longer than if I just do something like this one today, where I pulled up a presentation that I'd given before and looked at a couple clients' websites, and I know how to talk about blogging because I've been talking about it for 15 years. That it's different. So each blog post that you publish, it could take you anywhere between 2 to 6 hours to get it all the way done. So I know that sounds like a lot of time, but I also, because I'm on a sales role right now on blogging, I want to remind you that it's a marathon and it's not a sprint. So you publish your blog post. I published a blog post in 2013. So 7 years ago, I published a blog post about email newsletter do's and don'ts. And that blog post, every single month, has brought in over 1,000 visitors to my website. If I would have had to pay for those visitors, let's say that I had to pay for them through doing Facebook ads, or I had to pay for them through doing Google ads, I'm going to pay someplace between 50 cents to a couple dollars a click. So let's make the math really easy. Let's say it's $1 a click to get email newsletter do's and don'ts people to my website. So I would have had to have paid $1,000 a month since 2013 to be able to get those same people to my website. Since 2013. That is a metric ton of money. My brain does not do math that fast. I just know that is way more money than I would like to spend. And instead, I spent 3 to 4 hours writing a blog post and making sure that it was pretty and putting some graphics with it. So the other piece is that when I stop running my Facebook ads, when I stop running my Google ads, when I take the money out from behind it, the traffic stops. You may have gained some Facebook likes. You may have earned some kudos with Google. And so your traffic may be a little higher than it was before on your website, but it's not just going to maintain that high level. I'm not just going to get 1,000 visitors to my website every month. You don't maintain that type of traffic unless you're blogging. So these are some amazing things to think about. I know it is a time investment. There's totally ways that you can save time. And I would be happy to cover them in another podcast because you've already been with me for like over 30 minutes right now. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about this topic that I'm clearly so passionate about. So today we covered whether or not you should be blogging for your nonprofit. And I showed you what it is. And we talked about those case studies, about what it can do for you and how it does help you connect with new people that you don't know. And it helps you reconnect with people that you've already met, and how it serves that need for you to develop those relationships with new donors and existing donors throughout where they are at in that cycle of relationship with you. We talked about before you start blogging, you need to really take a good hard look at your target market, what your strengths are, and what your goals are, and make sure that it meets all of the criteria in there. And I made valid arguments for why it works in every way, except for if you really hate writing, in which case this is probably not the path for you, and you probably didn't even listen to this anyway, right? And then, because it just all comes down to your audience and your goals. And if you have a marketing plan, then you just go back to your marketing plan and look at it and revisit that information and think to yourself, all right, does it fit in here? And if it does, then awesome. And if it doesn't, then doesn't. And then last but not least, we talked about how much time it takes, because it does take time to write a good article and to make sure that people see it and put that information out there to bring people back to your website. So there you have it. Hopefully with this information, you can make an educated decision about whether or not your nonprofit should be blogging. Now, before I let you go, I do want to remind you that all of this is in a nicely formatted blog post on my website. So you can go through this checklist and use that blog post as a resource to help you make a decision as you're talking through it with your staff or with your volunteers to decide whether or not you should be blogging or not. So go to podcast.maycreate.com and check that out. And if you loved this topic, or if you learned a thing or two, I would really appreciate it if you would go out and leave a review for us, or even start following our podcast, because I would love to talk to you more often. And that's all I have for you today. And I know you've got other things to do, so get out of here. That blog's not going to write itself. Go forth and market with purpose.
Thanks again for listening to Marketing with Purpose. Head over to maycreate.com, MAYECREATE.com. Yeah, you heard me right, MAYECreate.com for podcast notes and more resources to grow your business. Don't let your marketing suck. Get your pride on, market with purpose.